Escape from a dying world. The twin suns of Solora cast an eerie, blood-red glow across the barren landscape as Zara clutched her daughter Naya tightly to her chest. The once lush planet, with its sprawling forests and crystal-clear lakes, was now nothing more than a desolate wasteland. Years of war and environmental neglect had pushed Solora to the brink of collapse, and now, as the planet's core destabilized, time was running out for its inhabitants. Zara's cerulean skin shimmered with anxiety as she navigated the crowded streets of Lumen, the last remaining city on Solora. All around her, fellow Solorians rushed in panic, their translucent wings fluttering in distress as they sought a way off the dying world. The air was thick with desperation and the acrid smell of fear. "Mama, where are we going?" Naya's small voice quivered, her large, iridescent eyes wide with confusion and fear. At just 5 cycles old, she was too young to fully comprehend the gravity of their situation. Zara stroked her daughter's silvery hair, trying to project a calm she didn't feel. "We're going on an adventure, little one. We're going to find a new home among the stars." As they pushed through the throng of panicked Solorians, Zara's mind raced. She had been lucky enough to secure passage on one of the last evacuation ships, but the cost had been steep. Everything she and her late bondmate had worked for, every possession they had accumulated over their lives, had been traded for 2 spots on the overcrowded vessel. The spaceport loomed ahead, a massive structure of gleaming metal and pulsing energy fields. It had once been a symbol of Solora's technological prowess and interstellar ambitions. Now, it stood as a stark reminder of their civilization's imminent demise. Zara's antennae twitched, picking up the cacophony of thoughts and emotions swirling around her. As an empath, she couldn't help but absorb the fear and despair of her fellow Solorians. It threatened to overwhelm her, but she forced herself to focus on Naya, using her daughter's presence as an anchor in the storm of emotions. As they approached the security checkpoint, Zara's heart raced. She had heard rumors of corrupt officials denying passage to those who couldn't offer additional bribes. Her hand instinctively tightened around the small pouch hidden beneath her robes, containing the last of their valuable crystals, a final, desperate bargaining chip if needed. The security drones scanned them, their emotionless artificial eyes gleaming. Zara held her breath, praying to the ancient gods of Solora that their paperwork would be in order. After what felt like an eternity, the drones beeped in approval, and they were ushered through. Relief washed over Zara, but it was short-lived. As they entered the main terminal, chaos erupted. The ground beneath them shook violently, and warning sirens blared throughout the spaceport. Solora's core was becoming unstable faster than predicted. "All evacuees, proceed immediately to your designated ships." A booming voice announced over the intercom. "This is not a drill. Solora's destruction is imminent. Repeat, this is not a drill." Panic ensued. Solorians pushed and shoved, their wings beating frantically as they rushed towards the docking bays. Zara held Naya close, using her body as a shield against the surging crowd. She could feel her daughter's fear pulsing through their empathic bond, and she did her best to project feelings of love and reassurance. They finally reached their assigned ship, a battered freighter that had clearly seen better days. As they boarded, Zara couldn't help but wonder if they had simply traded one death for another. The ship looked barely spaceworthy, but it was their only hope. Inside, the vessel was cramped and dimly lit. Hundreds of Solorians were packed into the cargo hold, converted into makeshift living quarters. The air was thick with the scent of fear and unwashed bodies. Zara found a small corner where she and Naya could sit, wrapping her wings around her daughter protectively. As the ship's engines roared to life, Zara looked out of a small porthole. Solora, their beautiful dying world, grew smaller as they ascended. Tears streamed down her face as she watched fissures of angry red spread across the planet's surface. It was really happening. Their world was ending. "Mama, will we ever see home again?" Naya asked, her voice small and trembling. Zara swallowed hard, her heart breaking. "No, little one. But we'll find a new home, I promise. A place where we can be safe and happy. The ship shuddered as it broke through Zalora's atmosphere. Through the porthole, Zara watched in horror as their world began to break apart. Massive chunks of the planet's crust tore away, revealing the molten core beneath. It was a sight of terrible beauty, the death throes of an entire world. A blinding flash lit up space as Solora finally succumbed to its unstable core. The shockwave hit their ship moments later, tossing it like a leaf in a storm. Passengers screamed in terror as the lights flickered and alarms blared throughout the vessel. Zara held Naya tightly, whispering words of comfort even as she feared the worst. The ship creaked and groaned, threatening to tear apart at any moment. But somehow, miraculously, it held together. As the turbulence subsided, an eerie silence fell over the cargo hold. Solora was gone. Their entire civilization, millions of years of history and culture, had been reduced to a handful of refugee ships scattered across the stars. The captain's voice crackled over the intercom, sounding weary and defeated. We've survived the initial blast, but our navigation systems are damaged. We're adrift in space, low on fuel and supplies. We'll do our best to find a habitable world, but I won't lie to you. Our chances are slim. A collective moan of despair rose from the passengers. Zara felt their hopelessness, threatening to crush her empathic senses. But as she looked down at Naya, who had finally drifted off to sleep in her arms, she found a wellspring of determination. They had survived the end of their world. Somehow, some way, she would ensure that Naya had a future. Even if it meant crossing the vast, uncaring expanse of space, even if it meant facing unknown dangers on alien worlds, she would find a way. As the battered ship drifted through the star-studded void, carrying the last remnants of Solorian civilization, Zara made a silent vow. She would be strong for Naya. She would adapt, survive, and thrive, no matter what challenges the universe threw at them. Little did Zara know that far across the galaxy, on a small blue planet called Earth, events were unfolding that would change the course of her and Naya's lives forever. Their journey had only just begun, and the stars held both perils and wonders beyond imagining. The first few days aboard the refugee ship were a blur of fear, grief, and uncertainty. The cargo hold had been divided into small living areas using salvaged materials, offering a modicum of privacy to the families huddled within. Zara and Naya's space was little more than a few square meters, barely enough room for them to stretch out their wings. Food and water were strictly rationed, the ship's limited supplies already stretching dangerously thin. Zara often went hungry, giving most of her share to Naya to ensure her daughter stayed healthy. The constant gnawing in her stomach became a familiar companion, a reminder of all they had lost and the precarious nature of their survival. As an empath, Zara found the close quarters particularly challenging. The air was thick with the emotions of hundreds of traumatized Solorians. Grief, fear, anger, and despair crashed against her in relentless ways. She did her best to shield Naya from the worst of it, but it was a constant struggle. To distract herself and Naya from their dire circumstances, Zara began telling stories. She recounted tales of ancient Solorian heroes, of the great explorers who had first ventured out among the stars, and of the mythical beings said to inhabit distant galaxies. Naya listened with rapt attention, her young mind eagerly grasping at these fragments of their lost culture. "Tell me about the Star Weavers again, Mama," Naya would often request, her eyes shining with wonder. Zara smiled, running her fingers through her daughter's silvery hair. "The Star Weavers were ancient and powerful beings, little one. It said they could spin entire galaxies from cosmic dust, creating new worlds with a mere thought. Some believe they still watch over us, guiding lost travelers to safe harbors among the stars." "Do you think they'll guide us, Mama?" Naya asked, hope evident in her voice. Zara's heart clenched at her daughter's innocent faith. "Perhaps, my love. We must keep hope alive in our hearts. That's where the true magic lies." As days turned into weeks, the ship's situation grew increasingly dire. The captain's updates became less frequent and more grim. Their long-range communications were down, leaving them unable to call for help. Fuel reserves were critically low, and several essential systems were failing. Tensions among the passengers began to rise. Arguments broke out over dwindling resources, and whispers of mutiny circulated through the cramped corridors. Zara did her best to stay out of the conflicts, focusing solely on Naya's well-being. One night, as Zara lay awake listening to the ship's laboring engines, she felt a subtle shift in the emotions surrounding her. There was a new undercurrent of excitement, of cautious hope. Curious, she gently extracted herself from Naya's sleeping form and made her way to the main viewing port. A small crowd had gathered, their wings quivering with anticipation. As Zara approached, she saw what had captured their attention. In the distance, barely visible against the backdrop of endless stars, was a planet. It was nothing like Solora. This world was a swirling mass of blues and whites, with great land masses of green and brown. It looked vibrant, alive in a way that stirred something deep within Zara's soul. "It's called Earth," a nearby Solorian whispered, his voice filled with awe. "The captain says it's inhabited by a species known as humans. They're not as technologically advanced as we were, but they've achieved space flight. And more importantly, their world is compatible with our biology." Zara's heart raced with a mixture of hope and fear. A habitable world, so similar to Solora, seemed too good to be true. But what would these humans make of a ship full of desperate alien refugees? Would they welcome them or see them as a threat? As if in answer to her unspoken questions, the ship's intercom crackled to life. The captain's voice, tired but tinged with excitement, filled the air. "Attention all passengers. We have made contact with the governing bodies of Earth. After explaining our situation, they have agreed to allow us to land and seek asylum on their world. However, they have conditions. We will be subject to quarantine and extensive interviews. Our technology will be impounded for study, and we must agree to integrate into their society, learning their ways and customs." A murmur rang through the crowd. Some voices were raised in protest, balking at the idea of subjugating themselves to a less advanced species. Others wept with relief at the prospect of finally setting foot on solid ground again. Zara remained silent, her mind whirling with possibilities. It wouldn't be easy. They would be strangers in a strange land, faced with the monumental task of rebuilding their lives from scratch. But as she looked back at Naya, still sleeping peacefully in their makeshift home, she knew they had no other choice. This Earth represented hope, a chance for Naya to grow up on a living world instead of spending her life adrift in the cold void of space. Whatever challenges lay ahead, whatever sacrifices they would have to make, Zara would face them head-on. As the ship began its approach to Earth, Zara returned to Naya's side. She gently woke her daughter, her heart swelling with a mixture of fear and excitement. "Wake up, little one," she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. "We found a new home." Naya's eyes fluttered open, still heavy with sleep. "Really, Mama? Where?" Zara pointed to the viewing port, now filled with the blue-green orb of Earth growing larger by the moment. "There, my love. It's called Earth. It's where we'll start our new life." Naya's eyes widened in wonder as she took in the sight of the alien world. "It's beautiful," she breathed. "Will the people there like us?" Zara hesitated, unsure how to answer. Finally, she said, "I hope so, Naya. They're called humans, and they're very different from us. But I believe that if we approach them with open hearts and minds, we can find a place among them." As their ship descended through Earth's atmosphere, Zara held Naya close. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it together. The last children of Solora were about to meet humanity, and nothing would ever be the same again. First steps on a strange world. The descent through Earth's atmosphere was unlike anything Zara had ever experienced. The ship shuddered and groaned, its ancient hull straining against the friction of re-entry. Naya clung tightly to her mother, eyes wide with a mixture of fear and excitement as flames licked the viewing ports. "It's all right, little star," Zara soothed, using her empathic abilities to project calm. This is normal for planetary landings. As they broke through the cloud cover, both Solorians gasped in awe. Stretching out below them was a vast cityscape unlike anything they had ever seen. Towering structures of glass and steel reached towards the sky, while vehicles of all shapes and sizes zipped along intricate roadways. It was beautiful, alien, and terrifying all at once. The ship touched down with a bone-jarring thud on a massive landing pad surrounded by military vehicles and personnel. Zara could feel the tension radiating from her fellow refugees, a mixture of relief at finally reaching solid ground and apprehension about what awaited them. All passengers remain calm and seated. The captain's voice crackled over the intercom. Earth authorities will be boarding shortly to begin quarantine and processing procedures. Zara took a deep breath, steeling herself for what was to come. She had heard stories of first contact going horribly wrong, of alien species being treated as lab specimens or worse. But they had no choice now. Their fate was in the hands of these humans. The airlock hissed open, and a group of figures in white hazmat suits entered the ship. Their faces were obscured behind clear visors, but Zara could sense their mix of curiosity and caution. One of them approached, holding up a device that emitted a soft blue light. "Please remain still," a muffled voice instructed as the device swept over them. "We're conducting initial health scans." Naya whimpered softly, pressing closer to Zara. "It's okay, little one," Zara whispered. "They're just making sure we're not sick." After what felt like an eternity, the scanning was complete. The human in charge consulted a handheld device before nodding. "You've been cleared for preliminary processing. Please follow me." As they were led off the ship, Zara got her first breath of Earth air. It was different from Solora's, heavier, filled with unfamiliar scents. But it was breathable, and after months of recycled ship air, it felt like paradise. They were guided into a massive hangar that had been converted into a processing center. Hundreds of stations were set up, each staffed by humans in protective gear. Zara and Naya were directed to one such station, where a kind-faced woman with graying hair waited. "Welcome to Earth," the woman said, her voice warm despite the barrier of her suit. "I'm Dr. Elena Reyes. I'll be handling your initial interview and orientation." Over the next few hours, Zara answered countless questions about Solorian biology, culture, and technology. Dr. Reyes was patient and genuinely curious, her eyes lighting up as Zara described their empathic abilities and bioluminescent skin. "Fascinating," Dr. Reyes murmured as she made notes. "Your species' capacity for non-verbal communication could revolutionize our understanding of neuroscience." As the interview wound down, Dr. Reyes' expression grew more serious. "Now, I need to explain what happens next. You and your daughter will be moved to a quarantine facility for the next month. It's for your protection as much as ours. We need to ensure you're not carrying any pathogens harmful to Earth life, and that Earth diseases won't affect you." Zara nodded, having expected as much. "And after quarantine?" Dr. Reyes smiled. "Then the real work begins. We've set up integration centers around the globe to help your people adjust to life on Earth. You'll receive language training, cultural education, and assistance in finding housing and employment." "And what of our technology?" Zara asked, thinking of the advanced systems aboard their ship. "It will be studied by our scientists," Dr. Reyes admitted. "But I assure you, we're not looking to weaponize anything. Our goal is peaceful coexistence and mutual advancement." As they were led to the quarantine facility, a comfortable if sterile living space, Zara felt a glimmer of hope. The humans seemed genuinely interested in helping, not exploiting them. Perhaps they could build a life here after all. The month of quarantine passed in a blur of medical tests, language lessons, and cultural briefings. Naya adapted quickly, her young mind soaking up English words like a sponge. Zara marveled at her daughter's resilience. Despite everything they had been through, Naya's spirit remained unbroken. Finally, the day came for them to leave quarantine, and take their first real steps into human society. They were provided with clothing designed to accommodate their wings and given a crash course in human social norms. Remember, their cultural liaison, a young man named Alex, instructed, most humans aren't used to telepathic communication. Try to use verbal speech as much as possible and ask permission before initiating any empathic links. As they stepped out of the facility and into the bustling streets of New York City, Zara felt overwhelmed. The cacophony of sights, sounds, and emotions threatened to overload her senses. But then she felt Naya's small hand slip into hers, and she found her center. "Look, Mama," Naya exclaimed, pointing at a group of pigeons taking flight. "Earth birds, but they don't have pretty colors like us." Zara laughed, feeling a weight lift from her shoulders. They had survived the destruction of their world, crossed the vastness of space, and now stood at the threshold of a new life. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. As they walked down the sidewalk, humans stopped and stared. Some looked afraid, others curious, and a few even smiled and waved. A little boy tugged on his mother's sleeve, asking loudly, "Mommy, are they angels?" Zara smiled, her bioluminescent skin shimmering slightly in response to her amusement. No, they weren't angels. They were refugees, survivors, and now the newest inhabitants of Earth. Their journey was far from over, but for the first time since fleeing Solora, Zara felt truly hopeful about the future. Little did she know that their arrival on Earth was about to set in motion a chain of events that would change the course of human history and the fate of the galaxy itself. A cosmic convergence. 6 months into their new life on Earth, Zara and Naya had settled into a routine that blended the familiar with the extraordinary. They lived in a modest apartment in a diverse neighborhood of New York City, where the sight of aliens had become less shocking, if still not entirely commonplace. Zara had found work as a cultural liaison, helping to bridge the gap between humans and the growing Solorian community. Her empathic abilities proved invaluable in smoothing over misunderstandings and fostering connections. Naya, now enrolled in a special integration school, was thriving, her natural curiosity making her a favorite among both alien and human children. But beneath the veneer of normalcy, change was brewing on a cosmic scale. One crisp autumn morning, Zara was awakened by an urgent call from Dr. Elena Reyes, who had become both a colleague and a friend. "Zara, you need to come to the lab immediately." Elena's voice crackled with barely contained excitement. "We've made a breakthrough with the Solorian quantum entanglement drive. It's beyond anything we could have imagined." Within the hour, Zara found herself in a high-security facility beneath the streets of Manhattan. The lab was a hive of activity, with human and Solorian scientists working side by side, their excitement palpable. Dr. Reyes greeted her with a fierce hug. "We did it, Zara. We've cracked faster than light travel." Zara's antennae quivered with shock. But how? Even on Solora, FTL was theoretical at best. "It was the combination of your quantum technology and our advances in dark matter manipulation," Elena explained, leading her to a holographic display. "We can create stable wormholes, Zara. We can traverse the galaxy in the blink of an eye." As the implications sank in, Zara felt a mix of elation and dread. This discovery would change everything for humanity, for the Solorian refugees, and for the galaxy at large. "We're not alone out there, are we?" she asked softly, already knowing the answer. Elena shook her head. "No. We've detected thousands of signals, civilizations spanning the cosmos. Humanity is about to step onto a very big stage, Zara, and we need your help to navigate it." Over the next few weeks, the world changed at a dizzying pace. Governments scrambled to form a unified Earth Council. The first interstellar embassy was established in orbit, a neutral ground for humanity to meet other species. And at the heart of it all were the Solorians, unexpected bridges between Earth and the wider galaxy. Zara found herself thrust into the role of diplomat, her empathic abilities and first-hand experience with interstellar travel making her invaluable. She spent long hours in meetings, helping to craft Earth's first contact protocols and advising on potential cultural pitfalls. But it was Naya who truly captured the world's imagination. Her innocent questions about other alien species, broadcast during a global press conference, sparked a wave of excitement and wonder across the planet. Children everywhere began looking to the stars with new eyes, dreaming of friendships across the cosmos. As Earth prepared for its galactic debut, a new threat emerged from the shadows. A faction of humans, fearful of change and resentful of alien influence, began to organize. They called themselves the Terran Purity Front, and their message of isolation and xenophobia found fertile ground in pockets of society resistant to change. One evening, as Zara walked Naya home from school, they found their path blocked by a group of TPF protesters. Their signs bore hateful slogans, and their emotions roiled with fear and anger. "Go back to your own planet, bugs," one man shouted, his face contorted with rage. Naya shrank back, her wings trembling. But then something remarkable happened. A group of human children, Naya's classmates, formed a protective circle around them. "They are home," a small girl with pigtails declared defiantly. "Earth is for everyone now." The standoff might have turned ugly, but a police hovercar arrived, dispersing the crowd. As they continued home, Zara marveled at the complexity of human nature, capable of both great hatred and profound compassion. That night, as she tucked Naya into bed, her daughter asked a question that made her heart ache. "Mama, why do some humans hate us? Did we do something wrong?" Zara sighed, stroking Naya's silvery hair. "No, little star. Some people are just afraid of things they don't understand. But there are so many more humans who welcome us, who want to learn and grow together. We must focus on them, on building a better future for all of us." As Naya drifted off to sleep, Zara's comlink chimed with an urgent message. Earth's first official diplomatic mission to another world had been greenlit, and she was to be part of the delegation. The next morning, Zara stood before a sleek starship, the culmination of human ingenuity and Solorian technology. The ESS Unity gleamed in the sunlight, a symbol of hope and a new era of exploration. Dr. Race approached, her face etched with concern. "Are you sure about this, Zara? It could be dangerous. We don't know what's waiting for us out there." Zara nodded, her resolve firm. "I have to go, Elena. This is bigger than just me or Naya now. We have a chance to shape the future of two civilizations, maybe even the entire galaxy. I can't turn my back on that." As she boarded the ship, Zara thought of Naya, safe with Elena's family. She thought of Solora, lost but not forgotten. And she thought of Earth, the planet that had given them a second chance. The Unity's engines hummed to life, and Zara felt the familiar pull of acceleration. But this time, instead of fleeing a dying world, they were racing towards a future bright with possibility. As the ship breached Earth's atmosphere, Captain Ash's voice came over the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is history in the making. In a few moments, we'll activate the quantum drive and make our first jump to the Andromeda Galaxy. Hold on to your seats. We're about to go where no human has gone before." Zara closed her eyes, feeling the hum of the quantum drive building. In that moment, she sensed the hopes and dreams of billions, human and Solorian alike, riding with them into the unknown. With a flash of light and a sensation like reality itself folding, the ESS Unity vanished from Earth's orbit, carrying its diverse crew towards humanity's cosmic destiny. As they hurtled through the fabricated wormhole, Zara couldn't help but wonder what wonders and what challenges awaited them among the stars. And how would this journey change not just Earth and its Solorians, but the very fabric of galactic society? The adventure was only beginning, and the universe would never be the same. Echoes of the cosmic web. The ESS Unity erupted into normal space with a dazzling flash of quantum energy, its hull gleaming under the light of unfamiliar stars. The bridge crew, a mix of humans and Solorians, stared in awe at the vista before them. The Andromeda Galaxy spread across their view screen, a spiral arm of cosmic beauty that took their breath away. Captain Asher, a seasoned astronaut with silver hair and piercing blue eyes, turned to Zara with a grin. "Well, Ambassador, we've made it. First contact awaits." Zara nodded, her antennae quivering with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. "Indeed, Captain, though I suspect we may find more than we bargained for." Her words proved prophetic as alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. The tactical officer, a young human named Lai, called out, "Multiple contacts approaching at high speed. Energy signatures unlike anything in our database." A fleet of sleek, crystalline ships appeared on the view screen, their formations precise and otherworldly. Before anyone could react, a beam of shimmering energy enveloped the Unity. "We're being scanned," Lai reported, her fingers flying over her console. "Wait, we're receiving a transmission. It's in Solorian." All eyes turned to Zara as the message played through the ship's speakers. The language was ancient, with cadences she had only heard in historical recordings, but she understood enough to gasp in shock. They're welcoming us home," she breathed, her bioluminescent skin pulsing with emotion. "They say they've been waiting for the children of Solora to return to the stars." Captain Ash leaned forward, his expression a mix of confusion and concern. "What does this mean, Ambassador? Who are they?" Zora's mind raced as she pieced together fragments of Solorian myth and the reality before them. I believe we've just met the Star Weavers." The next few hours were a whirlwind of activity as the Unity was escorted to a massive space station that seemed to be woven from starlight itself. As they docked, Zara felt a familiar presence brush against her mind, a telepathic greeting far more sophisticated than anything she had experienced before. The diplomatic team, led by Zara and Captain Asher, stepped onto the station with a mixture of trepidation and wonder. They were greeted by beings that seemed to shimmer in and out of existence, their forms vaguely humanoid, but composed of swirling cosmic energy. One of the beings stepped forward, its voice resonating directly in their minds. "Welcome, children of Solora and Earth. We are the architects, guardians of the cosmic web. We have much to discuss." What followed was a revelation that shook the foundations of everything Zara thought she knew about her people and the universe itself. The architects explained that the Solorians were not native to their lost homeworld, but were in fact an ancient race seeded across the galaxy eons ago. Earth, it turned out, was another of these seeded worlds. Humans and Solorians shared a common ancestor, diverging through millions of years of separate evolution. But why? Captain Asher asked, his voice filled with awe and confusion. Why seed so many worlds? The lead architect's form pulsed with what might have been sadness. Long ago, our civilization faced a threat beyond imagining: the Void Eaters, entities that consume entire galaxies. We scattered our children across the cosmos, hoping that someday when you were ready, you would reunite and stand against the darkness. Zara felt a chill run down her spine. And now? Are these Void Eaters still out there? The architect nodded gravely. They sleep in the spaces between galaxies, but they will awaken soon. The union of Earth and Solora was the first step. Now, you must help us gather the other seeded races. Only together can we hope to survive what is coming. As the implications of this cosmic revelation sank in, alarms once again blared throughout the station. A junior officer rushed in, his face pale. "Captain, Ambassador, we're receiving an emergency transmission from Earth. The Terran Purity Front. They've staged a coup. They've taken control of the quantum drive facility and are threatening to destroy it unless all aliens leave the planet immediately." Captain Ashe swore under his breath, while Zara felt a wave of icy fear wash over her. "Naya," she whispered, thinking of her daughter back on Earth. The lead architect stepped forward, its form glowing with determination. "This is graver than you know. If Earth falls to division and hatred, the cosmic web will be weakened. We cannot allow this to happen, not with the Void Eaters stirring." Zora straightened, her fear transforming into resolve. "We have to go back. We have to save Earth, not just for humanity and its Solorians, but for the entire galaxy." Captain Ashi nodded grimly. "Agreed. But how? Even with the quantum drive, it would take days to return to Earth. By then, it might be too late." The architect's form pulsed with energy. "We can help. Our mastery of the cosmic web allows us to create gateways between distant points. We can send you back to Earth instantly, but be warned, such travel is not without risk." Zora and Captain Ash exchanged a look of determination. There was no choice. Earth's fate, and perhaps the fate of the entire galaxy, hung in the balance. "Do it," Zora said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. The architect began to glow, its energy expanding to envelop the unity. Zora felt a sensation like reality itself was stretching, twisting, reforming around them. There was a moment of vertigo, a flash of light that seemed to contain every color in the universe and beyond, and then they were there, in orbit around a familiar blue marble. But the Earth they returned to was a world in chaos. Riots had broken out in major cities as news of the coup spread. The Terran Purity Front's propaganda machine was in full swing, blaming aliens for everything from economic woes to environmental disasters. As the unity descended through the atmosphere, Zora's thoughts were focused on one thing: finding Naya and keeping her safe. But she knew that personal concerns had to take a back seat to the greater mission. They had to stop the TPF, save the quantum drive facility, and somehow unite humanity in the face of a threat beyond imagining. The ship touched down in Central Park, drawing gasps and shouts from the crowds below. As Zora stepped out onto her adopted homeworld, she felt the weight of two civilizations, no, an entire galaxy, on her shoulders. A familiar voice called out, and Zora turned to see Dr. Elena Rice pushing through the crowd, Naya held tightly in her arms. As mother and daughter, reunited in a tearful embrace, Zora knew that the real battle was just beginning. The fate of Earth, the legacy of Solora, and the future of the entire cosmic web now hung in the balance. And somewhere out in the dark between galaxies, ancient and terrible entities were beginning to stir. The final countdown to humanity's greatest challenge had begun, the nexus of fate. The streets of New York City had become a battleground. Smoke billowed from burning buildings as supporters of the Terran Purity Front clashed with those defending alien refugees. The cacophony of sirens, shouts, and explosions filled the air, a stark contrast to the eerie silence that had greeted Zora on her first arrival to Earth. Zora clutched Naya tightly as they raced through the chaos, flanked by Captain Ash and a mixed team of human and Solorian security personnel. Dr. Reyes led the way, guiding them towards a hidden entrance to the underground quantum drive facility. "The TPF doesn't know about this access point," Elena shouted over the din. "If we can reach the core, we might be able to regain control." As they descended into the bowels of the city, Zora's empathic senses were overwhelmed by the fear and anger radiating from above. She could feel Naya trembling in her arms, the young girl's own budding abilities picking up on the maelstrom of emotions. "It's okay, little star," Zora whispered, trying to project calm. "We're going to fix this." They reached a massive vault door, emblazoned with the logo of the Earth Solora Scientific Cooperative. Elena pressed her palm to a scanner, and the door slowly ground open, revealing a cavernous chamber beyond. The quantum drive core pulsed with otherworldly energy, its intricate lattice of Solorian crystals and human superconductors creating a mesmerizing light show. But the beauty of the scene was marred by the dozen armed TPS soldiers surrounding the control console. At their center stood a familiar face that made Zara's blood run cold. Jonathan Drake, once a respected xenobiologist, now the leader of the Terran Purity Front. "Ah, our alien ambassador returns," Drake sneered, his once kind eyes now filled with fanatical hatred. "Come to witness humanity's liberation from your insidious influence." Captain Ashy stepped forward, his voice steady despite the tension. "Drake, you need to stand down. You don't understand what's at stake here." Drake laughed, a harsh and bitter sound. "Oh, I understand perfectly. You've all been blinded by these alien parasites, willing to sell out humanity's future for a few trinkets of advanced technology. Well, no more." He turned to the control console, his finger hovering over a large red button. "With the destruction of this abomination, we'll sever our ties to the stars. Earth will be for humanity alone, as it should be." "Wait," Zara cried out, desperation in her voice. She set Naya down, gently pushing her towards Elena, before stepping closer to Drake. "There's something you need to know, something we've just discovered." Her antennae quivered as she projected a sense of urgency, hoping to break through Drake's mental barriers. "Humans and Solorians, we're not so different. In fact, we share a common ancestor." Drake's finger paused over the button, a flicker of doubt crossing his face. "What nonsense is this?" Zara pressed on, her words tumbling out in a rush. "It's true. We were seeded across the galaxy by an ancient race called the Architects. Earth, Solora. They're all part of a grand design to protect the universe from a threat beyond imagining." She could feel a shock rippling through the room, both from the TPS soldiers and her own allies. Even Naya looked up in wonder, her young mind grappling with the cosmic implications. Drake's resolve seemed to waver for a moment, but then his expression hardened once more. "More alien lies. You'll say anything to maintain your hold over us." He moved to press the button, but suddenly froze in place, his eyes wide with shock. Everyone in the room felt it, a psychic presence so vast and alien that it defied comprehension. The air shimmered, and a being of pure energy materialized in the center of the chamber. The Architect's voice resonated in their minds, carrying with it echoes of cosmic depths and the weight of eons. "Children of Earth and Solora, heed our words. The Void Eaters stir from their slumber, drawn by the discord that plagues this world. United, you stand a chance against the coming darkness. Divided, all will be lost." Images flooded their minds, entire galaxies being devoured, civilizations snuffed out in an instant, and a creeping void that threatened to consume all of creation. Drake stumbled back from the console, his face pale and drawn. This can't be real." Zara stepped forward, her voice gentle but firm. "It is real, Jonathan, and we need you, all of you, if we're going to survive what's coming." The tension in the room slowly began to dissipate as the reality of their situation sank in. TPS soldiers lowered their weapons, looking to Drake for guidance. Captain Ashy seized the moment, his voice ringing with authority. "We stand at a crossroads, people. This isn't about human versus alien anymore. This is about the survival of all sentient life in the galaxy. Who's with us?" One by one, the TPS soldiers pledged their support. Even Drake, his worldview shattered, but his spirit unbroken, stepped forward to offer his expertise. As the impromptu alliance began to form, Naya tugged on Zara's hand, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and determination. "Mama, what can I do to help?" Zara knelt down, cupping her daughter's face in her hands. "You, my brave little star, have the most important job of all. You're going to show everyone that humans and Solorians can work together, that we're stronger united than we ever were apart." The Architect's form pulsed with approval. "The children shall lead the way. Their minds are open, unburdened by the prejudices of the past. They will be the bridge between worlds, the foundation of the alliance that must form to face the Void Eaters." As if on cue, the quantum drive core began to pulse with renewed energy. Displays lit up around the chamber, showing similar awakenings happening at quantum facilities around the globe. The cosmic web was stirring, responding to the unity forming in this underground chamber. Dr. Reyes rushed to a console, her fingers flying over the controls. It's incredible. The quantum network is expanding, linking to systems we didn't even know existed. We're receiving signals from across the galaxy, other seeded worlds awakening to the call. Zara felt a swell of hope as she watched humans and Solorians working side by side, their differences forgotten in the face of a common purpose. This was more than just saving Earth or preserving Solorian culture. This was the birth of something greater, a galactic alliance that could stand against the encroaching darkness. As the chamber hummed with activity, Zara's gaze met Captain Ash's. They shared a moment of understanding. Their journey was far from over. There would be challenges ahead, worlds to unite, ancient technologies to rediscover, and a terrible enemy to face. But in this moment, watching Naya happily chatting with a young human child, both of them marveling at the swirling energies of the quantum core, Zara allowed herself to believe that they stood a chance. The architect's voice echoed in their minds one last time before it faded from view. The seeds we planted eons ago have borne fruit. Now, it falls to you to tend the cosmic garden, to nurture the bonds between worlds. For in unity lies the strength to preserve the light of consciousness against the endless hunger of the void. As the first rays of dawn broke over a changed Earth, Zara stood tall, ready to face whatever the universe had in store. The last daughter of Solora had found her true purpose, bridging the gap between worlds and species, a beacon of hope in the face of cosmic terror. The stars above seemed to shine a little brighter, as if in approval of the momentous events unfolding below. Humanity's great leap into the galactic community had begun, and with it, a new chapter in the eternal struggle between light and darkness, life and oblivion. The cosmic web trembled with anticipation, awaiting the next move in this grand celestial game. And at the heart of it all stood Zara and Naya, mother and daughter, Solorians, and Earth's adopted children, ready to help guide humanity towards its destiny among the stars.